Welcome back to the channel where we make wealth building our mindset. My name's Warren, I'm a property investor and banker here in the UK. And today I'm talking about why I decided to quit a high paying job in banking and go into investing in property, stocks and shares and other entrepreneurial avenues full time. But before we do that, guys, do me a favor and smash that like button and share this video, guys, with somebody that is building their wealth or looking to build their wealth. The goal for 2022 this year is to take our communities and our friends and our families with us. We're not trying to do this alone, guys, so share this video far and wide with your communities. So guys, I'm very blessed to have had a great job in finance that's allowed me to buy 4 properties in 4 years, soon to be 5 in 5 years, hopefully towards the end of this year. It pays fantastic, guys. But my plan in the next 5 years, guys, is to quit this job and go into investing full time. Now, you might be thinking you are a psychopath, Warren. Why would you quit where you can sit comfortably in that your whole life, buy all the properties you want and retire on a mountain of properties and cash? Well, guys, let's talk about it. So guys, as a banker, working in finance, studying economics, there are 3 things, right, that our modern day economy wants from all of us. First is to work for as long as possible. Second is to pay as much tax as possible. And 3 is to consume as much as possible, not to produce, to consume, and preferably using as much debt as possible. The way our economy, our society, our businesses, our education is set up for us to work and to work for most of our lives, guys, right? And me, I'm what you would consider middle class, even upper middle class, you know, judging by the industry I'm in and my salary. However, middle class today for us millennials in this generation is not the same as what middle class was in our grandparents' generation, okay? Just 2 generations ago. Now, there was a time when middle class meant that you could buy a house in your 20s without any help from, you know, mum, granddad, your inheritance. You could buy a house on your wage and be good, right? And still have money left over at the end of each month to enjoy other luxuries, okay? Middle class also meant that you had a job pretty much for life. So a lot of your grandparents, my grandparents, worked in the same job for their whole life. Nowadays, the average time in a job for a millennial is 2 years and 9 months, guys. 2 years, that's the average time. So there are some people who are moving below that. So in your lifetime, think about it, you start working in your 20s, the retirement age, I believe, is 67. So that's 47 years. They're saying that the average person is going to work approximately 15 jobs. Now that sounds a bit high. That does sound high, I'm not going to lie. But if we say, okay, maybe those stats are capping a bit. But I know lots of people who've worked at least 4 jobs already, right? And they're in their 30s. They've quit 4 times and they've gone elsewhere, or they've been made redundant. But we'll talk about that as well, because redundancies and company restructurings are far more frequent than they used to be, and it's something that all of us have to navigate around. You know, again, I know people who are in their 20s that have been made redundant already. There used to be a time when you wouldn't get made redundant until like your 40s, 50s, but again, the society that we live in, it has changed a lot. And lastly, yeah, there was a time when middle class meant that you would get a healthy pension. I mean, a pension to live off from your company and from the state and be good. Again, nowadays, there are all sorts of pension gaps in companies. They've taken away final salary pensions. The world is in a bit of a mess, guys. And what we need to do is reassess whether working in the corporate world or the charity sector, whatever sector you're in, working in a 9-to-5 job really is the answer for you. Now, we've been conditioned throughout school, from school, right? Through secondary school, through uni, until where we're at now, to say that, hey, working for a company for somebody else is what you should be aspiring to. I was the same. I went to private school, I went to uni, and they never really pushed us towards entrepreneurship. Never really did. They pushed us towards going into prestige sectors, become a doctor, become a lawyer, become a banker, become an accountant, etc. Whatever it was, earn your wage. That is the goal. That is the professional goal of life. That's what education is for, essentially. So let's talk about some reasons why I'm quitting in 5 years' time, or why I plan to quit and go and invest and work for myself, becoming an entrepreneur, essentially investing in assets. First of all is the career ceiling, guys. So when you're going into a company, if you're so inclined, most of us are ambitious people. We want to do well. We don't want to stay at an entry level when we go into a job. If you start as, say, a graduate or a junior, most people don't want to stay at that level into their 50s and 60s. They want to progress through a company. Now, In a lot of these companies, large and small, there's only one CEO position, guys. There's one CEO position. A CEO will stay for a defined period of time. And, you know, during your working life, you might see, I don't know, 4 or 5 CEOs. The chances are that it's not going to be you during that term, especially if you're in a large company like I've worked at, many global banks. Now you might say, okay, like, you know, most of us don't want to go as high as CEO. We might want to be like a team manager or a director. Again, which is fair, but think about it, guys. We live in a globalized economy, especially if we're living in the UK, especially if you're living in London. A lot of the companies that are set up in this country are global companies, the big employers. And so you're coming up against competition from different people from all over the world. It's not just London, UK people. A lot of the companies that we work at have offices all over the world. So when it comes to selecting, like, you know, executive directors or directors, you're coming up against competition from people all over the world. Team manager might be a bit more attainable for most of us. Now, one of my least favorite things about working for companies is the politics, guys. Can somebody say amen? The politics that comes with having a line manager, doing your yearly appraisals, getting that ABC rating at the end of the year that basically determines whether you get a bonus or not, or whether you're eligible for promotion. We have all been in positions where you worked your ass off the whole year, comes to the end of the year, and management come up with some arbitrary position to not give you a bonus, to not give you the promotion that you deserve. I decided a long time ago that I was done with that, and I started contracting from 2016 onwards when I came back from traveling around Australia. I went traveling because I got burnt out before that, and I needed just a year out of work to go and do something for myself. It was the best decision that I ever made. I quit my job and I just went traveling, right? And then I came back and I said, well, I've got to work again, but I want to work in a different way. So I decided to become a contractor, which basically means you go into companies and you deliver a project. You don't get appraised at the end of the year. You don't have to have one-to-ones with your manager. You don't have that BS end of year meeting where they think of a nice way to tell you that you're going to stay at the same level on the same wage for another year. Done with that, guys. And that was one of the primary reasons why I decided to quit the full-time employee world and become a contractor. And 5 years from now, fully work for myself, because even though I am self-employed, technically, I still go in every day. I still report to somebody. I'm still accountable. And what I want is full independence, guys, full independence. I still want to work, but I want to be able to work on my terms. If I wake up on a Monday and I say, you know what, I don't feel like working. I want to go to the cinema. I want to go to the museum. I want to go on holiday. I want to have that freedom, all right? So that is the first reason why I'm deciding to quit my job, and I'm going to work my way out of the corporate world altogether in the next 5 years. Now, second, and this is a huge one for most people, is the financial aspect. So there are jobs, right? There are jobs that you can get into. You can go into certain career paths that pay very well. You can live a middle-class life. You can, you know, have a nice car, have a nice house, and earn a comfortable wage to live on, right? And to be completely honest and transparent with you guys, I have that now. However, when we're talking about building wealth, buying assets and having them grow over time to a level where you're able to take care of future generations after you, very hard to do that on most salaries, guys, most salaries. Now, let me give you the growth of some of the main assets that I invest in over the past 20 years, right? So property over the last 20 years has grown 288%. The S&P 500, which is the 500 largest companies in the USA, over the last 20 years has grown 400%. Bitcoin over the last 7 years has grown 14,800%. Now, I'm willing to take a bet that none of you over the last 5 to 20 years have had wage increases even close to those levels. So the lowest one was property at 288% over 20 years. How many of your wages have increased by 14% every year since you started your job? If you have, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know where you work. I'm going to submit my CV to your company tomorrow, right? And so should everybody else. But my point is, guys, when you invest in assets like these, the growth, the potential growth of those assets compared to the growth of your wage, they're incomparable, guys. Your wage growth has a ceiling, whereas assets, pretty much limitless, guys. It's exponential potential growth when you invest in the right assets in the right area and you do the right research. Assets are what make you wealthy, not your wage. It's like what Chris Rock said. He's not talking about rich, he's talking about wealthy. You want to get wealthy, invest in assets. And then lastly, guys, is the physical, spiritual, and mental health aspects. Now, I made a video a while back about how and why I quit my job in 2015, went traveling, got out of the rat race because I was being burnt out and I was unable to work for the best part of a year. And I decided that life wasn't all about working for a great company, having a really good CV, earning a good wage, having a house, blah, 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 blah. That's good. I'm not saying it's not good. However, the way that the jobs market really is set up and capitalism is set up in this part of the world, we are a resource, right? So if I get burnt out and I have to quit my job tomorrow, there is somebody right behind me willing to replace me, ready to replace me next day. They'll clean out your desk, somebody else will move in, and it will be almost like you never worked there. And I came to that realization in 2015 when I was burnt out. My company were actually really good to me, by the way. They were very patient with me, but my thinking was, a job isn't supposed to do that to a person, right? You're not supposed to be under such levels of stress in work. Now, some levels of stress are good, it makes you resilient, but it shouldn't be to the point where it's affecting your physical, mental, and spiritual health. So I took the decision to just come out of the jobs market and just go traveling. And I came back and did work in a different way. So I'm a contractor. I'm kind of halfway towards being independent and quitting my job fully. And a lot of you out there might have been, I'm pretty sure most of you out there have been stressed, burnt out at some stage in your working life. And I want to tell you guys that that is not natural, right? It's not natural for us as human beings to work that hard and have that as an outcome. So for my own benefit, I actually have a really good work-life balance now. I've taken steps to extract myself from the full-time employee jobs market and be a contractor where, yeah, you do have demands and expectations put on you of delivering projects. There is pressure there. However, you can, to quite a large degree, determine how you work. You can pick and choose, where you work, what projects you do. You can choose, how long you want to be working during a year. You might take a 6-month project during the year and take 6 months off. I haven't done that yet, but I do have the option to do that. So great way to work. And eventually I want to fully be independent, not even have to work for companies. I want to develop property. I want to do property projects. I want to own my own business. I want to make products. I want to do consulting on my terms and do stuff that I'm passionate about. So it's very important that you take care of your physical, mental, and spiritual well-being when it comes to work and that balance, because we work for most of our lives, right? I think the retirement age in the UK is 67. Most of us go into work after uni, so about 19, 20. We work for almost half of our lives, and our best years, when we're youngest and we're most virile and productive, we give 8 hours, 9 hours of the day for 40 plus years to our work. We spend more time at work than we do with our families. You retire at 67 and you live another 20 years, but you're old by then, right? No disrespect to the 6-year-olds watching, but I want to be able to be young and not have to work 9 hours a day in an office. I want to be able to spend time with my family, with my friends, and just be free, guys. And again, that's all part of my plan. So guys, those are the 3 main reasons why I am planning to quit my job in 5 years' time and go into investing full time. I want to determine my own career progression, I want to do things that I'm passionate about, I want to build my wealth, I want to take that salary cap off of my potential to earn and invest in assets that can take me to the moon. And I want to have physical, spiritual, and mental well-being and balance in my life, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you agree, or are you happy to be working where you're at for the rest of your life? Nothing wrong with that, by the way, guys. This is just a personal choice from me. Check out my dashboard in the description below. Like and share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.